Coming up on today's show.
Think about how your life is. You have your to-do list and you have your appointments, whether you work in the home, out of the home, you know, an entrepreneur, what have you.
My daughter, for example, say, oh yeah, that'll take me 15 minutes. It's like, that's going to take you 2 hours.
Every house has to have an analog clock.
A productive back-to-school experience today on Keeping You Organized. Well, hello and welcome to Keeping You Organized. It's back to school time. You know, I think it gets earlier and earlier every year, but we're going to talk about being productive, planning, not just your pens and paper and how you do that, but we're going to go deeper with that. And I'm going with the absolute top back to school productivity organizing expert, Leslie Josell. Order out of chaos. Hey, well, listen, it's great to talk to you. And before we really get into details, you sent me a little package. I kind of like that.
I'm sending presents to everyone these days.
Yeah, so we're going to do a little live on our podcast here. Now, for those of you listening to the podcast, you'll have to listen to some of the paper sounds.
We're going to do the big reveal?
Yeah, we're going to do the big reveal, and we're going to go back. For those of you who are listening, go back and watch online, smead.com/podcast. Leslie, it's one of the new academic planners, 2017-2018, and we got a couple of them here, don't we?
Let me go. I can't see. Yes, you got the pretty big one.
Yes.
And then we gave you a solid collegiate-y small one.
Yes.
And
and look at this for ADD people like me who love colors. I could stare at this all day long. This is great.
It's like party favors, right? It's fun.
Everybody likes gifts. Well, tell me a little bit about the academic. How many years now have you been doing this? Because you're well known. Family Circle, right? Rated this one of their top things. So tell me a little bit about the history of the planner.
Doing a lot of work for them too. So I kind of call myself an accidental entrepreneur, which I think most people are. I think what happens is when you can't find what you need, you go out and you create your own. So I did not intend to make these planners, you might say worldwide. Basically, I started as a professional organizer, but then I really transferred to working specifically with students and their families and became an academic coach. And I could not find an academic planner on the market that could show kids their time. And I'm going to say this probably over and over again in our podcast, that if your student cannot see their time, they cannot learn to manage it.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. So I was taking teacher planners. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, what the teacher planner is. And I was spending all of this time redoing them to kind of fit what a kid would need. And I would just take them to my local Kinko's and make some copies, seriously. And I was giving them to my students. And what was happening is the parents were coming and saying, do you have one for my other kid? Or my girlfriend saw it and she wanted it. So I'm like, all right, we'll make 50.
Right.
And then I made 100. And then I sent an email just to my friends and family and put it on my Facebook page. And then it just kind of exploded. And that was about 5 years ago. And we've come a huge way. We've won awards. We are patented. We are sold globally. We sell in stores, online, and everywhere in between.
Everywhere.
It's a little crazy, I have to tell you, but I feel like I hit on something.
Well, it's great. We have a link, which is myorganized.life/planner, and we'll put that up on the screen too. So take me through what's new because we've been talking to you about this stuff for, gosh, I don't know. I think we've been there since day one, haven't we? I mean, I think you were one of our first podcasts.
Maybe day two.
Okay, day two, maybe day two. Tell us a little bit about what's evolved in this and what's maybe new in the 2017-2018 planner.
But before we even do that, I want to start with only the two or three things that I feel are universal to all students. And we hit on them in both planners. So what makes the planner unique, and John, you have it, I mean, I can show it on my end too, is one of the biggest features right here. and you could see ours was written in just to show people.
Perfect. Yeah. You show
A
yours.
student only has to write their classes once. So and there's a big reason people go, oh, either what's the big deal, or I totally get that. If you know kids like I know kids, most planners, I'm going to put this down for a minute so you see my face. Most planners either do not have a place at all to write down the classes, or they come pre-printed and their classes kids don't even take. That happens. So the fact that your kid only has to write once, what that does is it eliminates the forgetfulness, it eliminates the frustration. If you have a student who every week has to rewrite their class schedule, it's not going to happen.
Right.
And now they're not going to write their homework down, or they're not going to write it where it should go. So this design, which is our patent, is the actual calendar pages are shorter than these pages. So the student only has to write it once, which is massive. The second thing that I think makes the planner unbelievably unique, and again, what sets it apart, is it's not enough for a student just to be able to know what they have to do. Because then that's a to-do list, right? If I asked your student or your child what they had for homework tonight and they recite it back to me, that's a to-do list. They're just telling me what they have to do. What they're not telling me is when they have time to do it. There's no planning involved. There's no forward thinking.
Yeah.
So our planners, it's hard for me to do this way, but I'm going to do it. Okay. Our planner not only gives you the space to obviously see your week as a whole, but this grid down here, what happens is your child writes down, they have tutoring, they have dance class, they have sports, and natural empty blocks of time will appear. And by those natural blocks of time, here it is better on the planning guide. I think you can see it better.
Yes.
If you notice, when you write down, all of a sudden you see these white natural time blocks. All of a sudden your student can now see when they have time available. And now they can actually see their time.
And they can hear their phone too.
And they can hear their phone. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Keeping it real, John.
Hey, live video, everything can happen. But see, that's a real good thing, an example of how kids get interrupted. And I think the visual thing really helps them because they're so distracted.
Well, I'm so glad you said that, because I want to take you on a little bit of a different tangent, and I promise I will come back to this.
Okay. Leslie, let's just hold for a second here, because I want to do a quick break, and I want to go down that tangent fully, but we got to take a quick break here. Folks, again, this is the academic planner. You can find it at myorganize.life/planner, and we'll be back in just a moment. Now, there's a place just for you. Life can be busy, and you still have to keep it all together. That's why you like to be organized and in control. Introducing myorganize.life, a special place where you can get ideas and solutions to organize what's important to you, your important papers, your important decisions, your important life events. We show you the ideas and products to stay organized in your life. See what's new. Stop by and say hello. Visit us at any time at www.myorganize.life. It's just for you. myorganize.life by Smead. Find us at www.myorganize.life. myorganize.life. We are back now on Keeping You Organized, talking about having a more productive back-to-school experience with Leslie Josel, Order Out of Chaos. Leslie, you were just about, I was so excited because I love rabbit trails. But you were going to take us down one, because we're talking about your academic planner, which is a great visual tool. But I think you were going to make another point there about...
Well, you said something before the break about distraction.
Yes.
And here's what we're seeing. And here's what we're hearing. And it's not just from our students, but we're seeing it in surveys. We're seeing it in research. That actually more people, adults as well as students, are actually going back to paper planning. As opposed to, like, where is mine? I don't even know where mine is. My phone.
Yes. Because
what they're finding is two things. The phone actually takes longer sometimes to get what they need written down. So they have to get their phone, they have to find the app, they have to open the app, they have to get to the right and write it down. For students, what they're saying is when they pick up their phone, they get distracted,
Right.
because their intent might be to write down something that they need to do, but now all of a sudden they're seeing Instagram, they're seeing their text messages, they're seeing Snapchat, and what they had intended to do is not happening.
Right.
So what we're seeing in the research, Don, is actually more kids, more older students like high school and college are actually going back to the paper planning.
Right. Well, I think the phone planners, I mean, calendar, basically what it is. First of all, a lot of schools don't even let you have those out. So when you're in the class and you want to take some notes or put something down, you can't do it. Or you don't have Wi-Fi, or, 100 reasons why.
100
But I
reasons.
think the great thing about this is you can see all the subjects and the whole week and kind of get that visual, okay, here's what I got to do. And I
Well,
think
it's all
that's
about
really
the
good.
it's all about the big picture, and
Yep.
we're talking about productivity.
Yes.
And so I know mostly who's going to watch this are the parents of
Yep.
the student. So I tend to talk to adults and say, think about how your life is. You have your to-do list and you have your appointments, whether you work in the home, out of the home, an entrepreneur, what have you. And true time management is meshing the two.
Yes.
It's how do you find your time to get the to-do stuff done along with all your other appointments that you have. It's the same for students.
Right.
A student's appointments is school, maybe sports, dance, play rehearsal, whatever it is. Their to-dos are their homeworks, papers, even maybe whatever else they might have. It's if they are not seeing both of them together,
Mm-hmm.
then the productivity is not there. It's
Right.
just, you can't have just your list of to do if you can't see the rest of your time.
Right.
It just doesn't work to be productive.
How important
So
is
the planner-
knowing the time that it takes to do something? My daughter, for example, say, "Oh yeah, that'll take me 15 minutes." It's like, that's going to take you 2 hours. How do you teach that kind of idea within the context of this?
I think that's higher level.
Okay.
I really do. And I think you have to start at the beginning when it comes to teaching time. Time is a very hard thing to teach because it's not, you can't hold it.
Yeah.
I always say that what I love about our planners is you can see it.
Yes.
Because you can see the time. So what we tell parents to do is, and this is great whether you have an 8-year-old at home or an 18-year-old at home, it doesn't really matter, but you have to start at the beginning. So believe it or not, my biggest tip for every house is that every house has to have an analog clock.
Mm.
Okay. And you're going to laugh because I'm sure, and I don't mean to make fun of anyone, but some people say, I don't even know what an analog clock is anymore.
Or how to read one, right?
Or how to read one.
Yeah.
Because my generation, possibly your generation, we were brought up on an analog clock. We were taught about the movement of time, but this generation learned to tell time on a digital.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't see the beginning and end. They don't see how time relates to anything. So my biggest tip is not only should you have an analog clock in your house, but you should have an analog clock in every room that your student spends time in, including the bathroom.
Wow. Okay.
Okay. I don't know about you, but my kids are a little older, but when they were teens, they spent a lot of time in that bathroom.
Does that help the teens put their makeup and do their hair a lot faster? Because, I tell you, sometimes they take a long time doing that.
Well, because you understand, you want to start teaching them how long something takes.
Yeah.
If you want to teach them, it's easier to see it than to tell them.
Yeah.
So if they're in the bathroom and and I actually, true story, in my house, in my kids' bathroom, there were 2 clocks. There was one in the shower because they get lost in there.
Yeah,
and then there was one by the sink because it was a subtle reminder of, I've been in the shower now for 15 minutes. I need to get out.
Right.
What does 15 minutes feel like? I'm seeing it go by.
Yeah.
But if there's no reference to it, how can we expect them to know how long something takes them to do?
Right. You know what I love about analog clocks, too, is the concept of the top of the hour. And I know in your planner you have the blocks. And I think that's also something that you can't get on a digital clock, but you get that concept, okay, we're starting a new hour, a new block, and that's
100%.
That's great. Well, Leslie, you know what? I still want to get to the color. We have a lot to cover, but our podcast is done for this time. Can you come back next time and I'm going to tease the little colored stickers because I'm dying to figure out what these things do.
They're super fun.
All right.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, great. Well, folks, hey, before we go, tell people a little bit about Order Out of Chaos and how they can get a hold of you.
All right, so we make it very easy for you. Order Out of Chaos is a student organizing and coaching company. We do student work as well as parent. But you can find everything about us on our website, which is orderoochaos.com. So we give classes, we have informational products, educational products, as well as one-on-one work. But if you go to the site, it's all there for you.
Yeah. All right, folks, come back next time when we're going to talk about the colored stickers and really get more into the planner because you haven't seen hardly anything yet. You've just seen the high-level view. And we'll do that next time on Keeping You Organized.